Hi guys. These days we go around calling a lot of things, a lot of songs, masterpieces, just because we like to use that adjective. This song right here is an actual masterpiece. Hi guys. Today I'm going to do a review and arrangement analysis of a song called Sojugada Soojumallige from the movie Garuda Gamana Vrishava Vahana. And we don't really know who composed this song. His or her name has been lost in time. This is just attributed as a folk composition. And we have many such folk songs in Bengal as well. We just call them procholito. And every time we don't know who made that song, but we want to cover it in our own way, we say it's a procholito song and we are doing a rendition of it. Now this has been arranged for the movie GGVV by the absolute genius Midhun Mukundan, of course. This is also a very stylish but minimalist and a powerful, punchy rendition of an ancient song. And this is probably the best folk song I've heard in my life. Folk songs are usually pretty simplistic in composition, in basic tune. They might say great stories, but as far as melody composition is considered, folk tends to be a little simplistic. But even the tune of this basic composition is absolutely beautiful and haunting and sad. So let's get to the song now. Okay, full disclaimer, there will be many things to talk about in this song, and so there will be many pauses, fast forwards and rewinds. So if you get annoyed by those things, it's very unfortunate. You will have a tough time watching this video. But we have to discuss these things. Okay, firstly, I want you to note three things that we can deduce from here. Firstly, this song is in the 7/8 meter time signature. It's, I guess, called the Rupak Tala. The count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are you'll probably never be able to point out any Indian song that you hate in this tal. For some reason, our ears are very tuned to this tal. I personally don't know of one single song that I don't like in this tal. It just hits our genes somehow. We are accustomed. We are genetically predisposed to like any song in this tal. Maybe because our ancestors have made and heard so many of these songs in this tal. So this song is also in this tal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Secondly, this is a bass tone, but played from this is supposed to be a bass guitarish application, but it's played on a synthesizer, and probably on an analog synthesizer, not a digital synthesizer that you get in a music shop. This is a very high-end piece of equipment, and I forgot to mention it in the Chandrachura review as well. Even in that song, the bass was played probably from a very good piece of analog synthesizer. This sounds like a mini Moog, but might be something else as well. So I'm sure Midhun Mukundan has some nice piece of equipments. Okay, the main thing about this bass line that starts the song, there are two things. The cycle of the entire phrase that is playing in the bass, there are two distinct changes. Okay, see what happens here. See, something happens here. There's a legato-ish feel that this thing happens. And the second cycle, the second count that ends here, ends with a lowest note in the entire scale, okay? And this is important because that's where the vocal will get in. When the lowest note hits, that's the subconscious cue for you to understand, okay, something is about to happen, and then the vocal comes in. very subtle, very beautiful, delightful reverb on the vocals. But first and foremost, the vocal is in a telephonic tone, okay? This is how you hear from a phone loudspeaker or when you hear someone else talking to you. That's because air bandwidths cannot carry an entirely clear vocal sound, vocal audio. So we, as humans, we are supposed to be able to hear from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, but these sorts of voices are transferred in phones from only about, let's say, from 20 hertz to 1000, maybe 2000 hertz or 1000 hertz. Everything is cut off. You don't hear any low end, so you don't hear any bass, and that kind of gives a cool sound when you want to apply it in a modern song. So this we call a telephonic voice. This is a very subtle telephonic voice going on here. Even the main lead vocals of the woman, sung by a young lady called Chaithra Achar, even that's entirely in telephonic voice. Only time the song is not in telephonic voice is when the full wave of male vocals hit you and the chorus comes in singing Madeva for the first time, and then later Sojugada Soojumallige line. That's not in telephonic vocals. Everything else is in telephonic vocals. Okay, there's a very soft and light pad synthesizer tone that has come in, which you won't be able to hear unless you are hearing in headphones or very good speakers. So this is an amazing work. Just like the previous Chandrachura song, Midhun Mukundan songs apparently sound great even if you're listening to very cheap mobile phone or laptop loudspeakers, or differently great in gigantic high-end speakers or headphones. So the melody that comes in here is played in a synthesizer, very soft, subtle pad, as if it's an ambient flying around tone. And the melody that plays here is listen to it closely. So until this time we were hearing just three things: Madeva, the telephonic voice, the bass line, and that pad tone which came in from the second cycle. Such clear, distinct, audible things. These are masterclasses for any person going into composition and arrangement. Now the drums come in. And the drums, I haven't been able to figure out what particular kind of drum is playing here. Probably some folk instrument, but since no one has been credited for playing these drums, I'm guessing this is played in a computer software version of some drum tone. So it sounds very folkish because it's not a very processed or tight tone. It's tight, but not in a processed or artificial sounding way. So he has used some very good VST software of some folk percussion, or maybe used some samples that he recorded himself. But the kick is very beautiful, and you can feel the skin hit by a hand or some giant sticks. So the kick hit is very interesting. It does tick tick tick. That's all the kick does. Tick 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 tick. Okay, the two other things that are going on here is that's going on. The bass is going on, and like I mentioned in the previous Chandrachura analysis, that Midhun Mukundan likes to use reverse samples of things. I did not explain what's a reverse in the previous song, so I'll go and get into that a bit here. A reverse is any recording of any audio thing which you can, which when you put in a recording software and audio mixing software, you can just flip it 180 degrees. Okay, so let's say if I shout "na," if I reverse that audio sample, imagine the image reversed, it will become "an." So what happened in the Chandrachura song was he was using reverse cymbals, the cymbal that like a thali that we have in a drum kit. That's called a cymbal, of course. So he was using a ride cymbal, I'm 99% sure, and he reversed that for getting you into the punches and taking your attention right before going into a very heavy part. Okay, so if a cymbal hit sounds like tsh, the reverse of it will sound like shh. So this is a sort of something of that sort comes in here, but it's impossible to say what thing has been reversed to achieve this sound because it's very short. There's something just like shh. There's a very short reverse thing going on, okay, with the drums. That reverse thing is going on, and then something else is going on in the left side of your ears. The kick is playing dik dik dik, and the tik tak, tik tak. That's a wood block sort of a sound, played on some wood percussive instrument in a software version, I think. That's going on in the left side, but it starts from the center. Okay, the beat is playing dik dik dik. Then the second beat is playing. The wood things are playing tik tak. So the thick is happening in the center of your ears and the track is happening on the left. So it gives you a beautiful sonic image. So it feels like a lot of people are surrounded in your head playing from all sorts of, from all sides. Track, track, and the reverse. And this is a signature Midhun Mukundan song thing, I think, because he has done this in the Chandrachura song as well. Suddenly everything stops right before getting into something heavy. No rolls or something. Usually we are used to hearing, if let's say a drum beat is ending, we are used to hearing rolls. Let's say no rolls happen in Midhun Mukundan songs. It ends suddenly, all of a sudden, halfway between, right before the last bar, the beat ends. Okay, lots of things happen here. There's a gigantic reverse, first of all, which hits you like a wave. It sounds like a wave. It's you're standing in front of a tsunami. That sort of thing goes on here. So listen to the reverse very closely. That's the best thing that has happened in the song so far. Okay. That's why you feel the impact of this Mahadeva part now. It's because of that reverse. Yeah. So I think what he has reversed is all the percussions and some whoosh sound you can generate from synthesizers. There are such reverse presets anyway. He may have used that or may have generated his own reverse thing of the percussion hits. He hit a lot of percussions and then he took all those and reversed it. It sounds like whoosh. See all that happening here. Now the vocals are no longer playing in a telephonic voice, and a beautiful groove comes in with lots of percussions playing together, and the groove is absolutely beautiful. Okay, one significant thing has come in now, which we need to note because it will be important later. That was already going on. Along with that, a cellist type of instrument I think has come in. A cellist or some sort of bell, okay, played in a synthesizer. That is playing a very interesting counter groove. And there's one other thing I need to discuss here, that is a harmony. Those of you who have not learned any piece of or never listened to much Western music, there's a thing called harmony that happens in Western music, which does not occur in Eastern classical music, Indian classical music. That is, you sing a lead melody, one central melody, but a parallel melody plays those counts of those notes, but different notes. Okay, so see what harmony is playing here. One or two soft, subtle, low volume layers of male harmonies has come in this Mahadeva line. Yeah, it's happening. So the main melody is playing. I'll sing the harmony for you. The male melody first, so that you can differentiate. The main melody is playing. Mahadeva, Mahadeva, Mahadeva. and the harmony is playing. I love singing harmonies. It's in the same scale, it's in the same octave, but it's a different combination of notes. That's called a harmony. I don't know what this song does to me here. There are many things to note here already. This woman, Chaithra ji Achar, sounds like a kid. I had to Google whether it's a child singing. So it's a very innocence-filled, childish voice. It's in heavily processed as a telephonic voice because it wants to give you a mysterious and technical and a technological feel, that as if something artificial is happening, but coming from a distant land. That sort of a vibe is going on here. And we'll get to the male vocals without telephonic voices later, of course. But the first thing I wanted to note is, let's check how great a vocalist she is by see how unlazy she is in the very first letter of her vocal delivery. See how she starts the song with so much passion and so much attention to detail. That delivery, that throw. Again, I'll have to lump all South India together, kind of, but this is a signature South Indian thing. I've been listening to dedicatedly Tamil songs from 2014, and I have noticed this in South Indian songs since then, that South Indian vocals and vocalists have this greater attention to detail that Bollywood and Bengal Tollywood does not have. Okay, the other thing you need to notice is, again, like the Chandrachura song, there are no gigantic chord changes as in the case of Kantara songs, especially Singara Siria. So, just like in the Chandrachura song here, the reverb, that echo of the vocals works as the chord, because by the time the second line, let's say, of a vocal phrase is going on, the sustain, the delay, the reverb, the echo of the first line has not ended. So that's a melody in itself, right? The sustain, the echo. So that echo supports the second line of the vocals, second line of the song. So see how that goes. It's still going on. The space is filled with her vocal reverb and the sustains and delays, okay. And it does not have to be, the first line's delay did not come in only when the second line is coming, because the delay and reverb has been amped up so much, it's called a very wet vocals in technical terms. So every word, every letter she is saying, the previous letter and previous word sustains and delays are filling up the entire space, therefore creating no need for a gigantic chord change, and therefore you can't hear subtle chord changes in a mobile loudspeaker. That's why this song will sound great even in a phone loudspeaker, because these things are audible in a phone and laptop loudspeaker as well, okay. Next thing you need to notice is there are no bass here. Only bass is coming from the kick drum, which is tuned beautifully. It's hitting a melody note, even the bass drums. See. That's the bass drum hitting. Okay. And that other thing I told you to note in the previous verse, that's going on here. That celeste kind of thing. This is my favorite part of the entire album, I think. This is such a brilliant idea. I don't listen to such techno music much, and this genre is, I guess, called industrial rock, that sort of influences. I mainly listen to orchestral music, so maybe Midhun Mukundan himself has heard this in countless songs, or maybe he has come up with this idea entirely on his own, but I really like this idea, and I'm definitely going to use it in my songs whenever I get the chance. What gives you this gigantic punch? Okay, it's called an automated saturation that has gone on here. So listen to it very slowly. Let's listen to it on slow motion. Let's check out all the things that go on here. So the female vocal is going on in the same octave. Firstly, Midhun Mukundan changes the pitch of the vocals gradually. It's called automation, so that any effects or process that he does, it happens gradually, not all of a sudden. It's not like it's not happening like that. The pitch is changing gradually. So he has used the software and brought down the pitch gradually. That's the first thing that happens. But that telephonic voice goes from telephonic to clean, then becomes distorted, then becomes saturated. It's called a saturated voice, but that saturation leads to distortion, and that distortion makes you think subconsciously that as if it has gone so loud, the speakers are bursting, because that's the sound you get when you play a song too loud and your speakers get screwed. And since you are subconsciously used to hearing those things, this is how here Midhun Mukundan creates the image, creates a notion that as if everything is about to get set loose and everything is about to get destroyed. So much of a powerful tsunami is coming on. Okay, see, so 3 things that happen here in the vocals. That vocal almost becomes a bass, a synthetic analog synth bass. Let's listen to it a little quicker. Okay, there is, I think, an actual synth bass also playing. Those notes is played in an analog synthesizer bass. And the vocal distorts. That distortion is what I'm talking about. The vocal becomes... That distortion has happened with he automated the saturation. So he did not need any reverse things here. That vocal processing did all the job for him to get us into the chorus. When the male vocals start singing totally in a clean way, Sojugada, Soojumallige. So now everything that we have been introduced to, all the layers from the very beginning of the song, all that happens now. That pad tone goes on, and that other cellist or bell kind of thing that we heard. And the drums. Tak. Only in this line a high octave harmony happens. So much reverb. Sort of a ghungru thing comes in now. The ghungru just plays that. Okay, the other thing that's playing here that has given the song of being in a double count, now you feel more urgency in the song. That's because of a djembe playing. I'm 90% sure it's a djembe. I don't know if it's a loop or anyone has actually played it. The djembe plays the skin part. Very soon he'll do the higher sections of the djembe as well. You play near the rims, the borders of the djembe instrument, and that gives you the vibe of a trakataka. It may be some African instrument as well, but when that comes in, notice that it will happen all over the place. It will pan from left to right, right to left, left to right, right to left. Amazing pan automation goes on. Let's note the djembe now. I have to say that the flute here for some reason is played with a VST, with a software, and that is probably the weakest part of the entire song. It could have been played with an actual flute player or some better flute software. Maybe he did not think it needs much attention here, because everything else is so insanely great in the song that flute kind of falls flat. If the song was a little less good, this flute would not draw my attention, because everything else is so good. That's why the flute somehow seems, why what's the point of such a flat sounding flute? From this year to this year. Yeah. What a song. This is called a masterpiece. Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura Mardini Ramya Kapardini Shaila Sute